Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So let's look at this issue of a two-state solution in Palestine, right? Or Israel and the West Bank and Gaza. The Arabs and the Palestinians have never, ever accepted the principle of a two-state solution. And I will remind the listener that it was the United Nations that had established in principle a two-state solution. The Arabs vehemently opposed the idea, possibility of any two-state solution. They wanted Palestine under absolute Arab control, Arab hegemony. And for the very stupid people out there who think Palestine was a country ruled by the Palestinians and the Jews came in and stole their land, it's absolute nonsense. Right? Palestine became Palestine under the ancient Romans, right, who declared the region, the province, in their Roman Empire, Palestine, right? Syria, Palestina, I believe. Then the Ottoman Empire took over, sometime after the Romans, and a backwater region, Palestine. And then after the First World War, it became a British protectorate under Britain. Everybody, I mean everybody in that region was Palestinian, including Jews. Jews in that area were considered Palestinians, right? In about the 1920s, shortly before that, but in the 1920s, a large number of Jews were fleeing, the persecution and pogroms in Europe, most especially Russia, Ukraine, started emigrating to the region. They bought their land. Yes, they bought their land, and under utterly extreme circumstances, they drained swamps, malarial swamps. That means swamps buzzing with malarial-infested mosquitoes, drained swamps, washed soil free of salt so they can plant crops and orchards and start reforesting, right? Diligent effort, they bought their land, settlers started moving in. And guess who else moved in? Arabs moved into the region because prosperity was increasing, employment was becoming more of a possibility. Jews. This reminds me of, the life of Brian, right? What did the Romans ever do for us? This was, the Palestinians, ancient Palestinians, Arab and Jews. What did the Romans ever do? Well, wine, sanitation, and the list goes on. And that's exactly what the Jews in, Palestine were doing, right? Increased healthcare, clean water, business opportunities, recovering land, clearing fields of rocks, producing industries. So yes, Arabs flooded in to take advantage of it. And yes, there were Arabs who had been living there for centuries as well, as had been Jews, right? True story. Just before the state of Israel stood up, right? Arabs, before 1948, when Israel declared its independence, before and during 1948 war, right? Because, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, a number of other these bullying thugs tried to wipe Israel off the map. They said, the Arab High Commission, all of Palestine must be Arab. That's right, all of Palestine must be Arab. You see any accommodation here? Any reasonable accommodation for those Jews who were living in that area, had settled that area and invested, blood, sweat, and tears? Absolutely not. And in the 1920s, Jews were being slaughtered. Their property stolen, Jewish villages attacked, people killed. Envy. This is envy. And just before the war, 1948, right? The General Secretary of the Arab League, this will be a war of extermination and a momentous massacre, right? The Arab League. 1948, Haj Amin al-Hassani, the leader of the Palestinians, right? Remember him? I did a previous video. He spent Second World War in Berlin as a guest of Hitler, helped form the Bosnian SS uniform. That's why people call the Jews now, Nazis. No. The leader of the Palestinians in 1948, he helped form an SS unit in Bosnia, right? This guy was spreading murderous jihadi ideology to the Arab world from radio transmissions from Berlin. Yep, this is him, right? Calling for genocide. He had planned with the Nazis to bring death camps to the Arab world, right? This is him, al-Hassani. Continue to fight until the Zionists are eliminated and the whole of Palestine is purely an Arab state, right? Yeah. There's absolutely no desire on the Palestinians for any two-state solution. In the year 2000, the Palestinians, under the leadership of Yasser Arafat, leader of that terrorist group, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and Black September, the terrorist organization that attacked the Jewish athletes in the Munich Olympics, right? He walked away from a deal that would have seen settlement, Gaza and the West Bank, absolutely free of Jewish settlements, and they would have had a capital in East Jerusalem. Over 90% of the region that had been previously promised to the Palestinians would have been returned, and a number of areas Israel couldn't turn back for military and strategic regions because, yes, of course, they're surrounded by militant, bullying dictators. Although some now have seen just how violent and uncompromising are the Palestinian people. And the Arab world is starting to realize they have much more to fear from Iran than they do from Israel. Israel is not, an expansionist empire, colonialist empire. Iran is an expansionist, colonialist enterprise. It is asserting its dominance and trying to spread its dominance throughout the region. So these Arab countries, Egypt and Jordan, are starting to come around and realize Iran is the enemy here, and these Palestinians, they don't want anything of them, right? I mentioned that in previous videos. Check those out exactly as to why these countries, these Arab countries, refuse to settle these Palestinians who have been languishing, languishing since 1948, languishing in refugee camps. Why are they languishing? Mean Israel won't let them return. There's no right to return for these Palestinians. These Arab countries could have taken them in, just as Israel took in hundreds of thousands of displaced Jews into Israel, right? Gave them sanctuary, right? So utter nonsense. And in the year 2000, after Yasser Arafat walked away from a peace deal, the Camp David negotiations could have seen a state of Palestine, a Palestinian state, right, with Gaza and the West Bank free of settlements, that capital in East Jerusalem, walked away the second Intifada. And there's this, this false narrative that it's the Al-Aqsa Intifada because there was some sort of desecration there. There was no desecration at Al-Aqsa. This had been planned. And in the wake of the second Intifada, hundreds and hundreds of innocent civilians were murdered by suicide bombings, city buses, restaurants, on the city streets. Hundreds of innocent civilians killed in the second Intifada because they don't want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution, and that would be a Palestinian state. This is why you hear chants of from the river to the sea, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. You know what's in the middle of that particular sandwich? Israel. They don't want a two-state solution. And now you have college kids calling for, globalizing the Intifada. Globalizing the Intifada. These stupid woke leftists, they don't realize that they will be the first to fall under the sword of Islam. Gays for Palestine. Or these enlightened, Jews for Palestine. They should go over to Gaza and start waving the flag for Jews for Palestine. We'll see how well that works out for you. Absolutely insane, right? Absolutely insane. No, there is no two-state solution. There's a one-state solution, and that is the state of Israel. And Gaza and the West Bank, they will be occupied, I don't know, in perpetuity, but until the schooling system's cleaned up, until, this radical eliminationist genocidal ideology that is being literally taught to preschoolers and taught throughout the course of their lives. They're filled with poisonous nonsense, being taught to aspire to martyrdom by killing Jews. And I didn't say killing Israelis. I said killing Jews. That's what they want. Teaching their kids to kill Jews. And their kids do kill Jews. They send out children as young as 12 as suicide bombers. It's insane. And these woke, ideological, indoctrinated, they know advanced social theory when they see it. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And yes, Israel is an island of Western civilization surrounded by civilizational barbarism. Beheadings, genital mutilations, limbs being sawed off. And I mentioned, some countries are, Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, he's trying to moderate, and he has to move carefully because, these people have been also raised in a steady diet of Islamism. And, Jordan, right? And Egypt has its own problems with radical Islam and is combating it. So at any rate, finally the light of Western reason and Western civilization and Enlightenment reason is starting to penetrate the Arab world because they see what theocratic tyranny looks like. They just have to look over at Afghanistan and look over at Iran to see what that's like. Anyways, nonsense. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you like the video, please do drop a thumbs up. Gratifies my fragile male ego. And do please check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. You are being lied to, and not by me. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye now.